Stuart Alderoty is on stage at SALT discussing RLUSD, XRP, Ripple, and of course where this is all headed. We also have some new information coming to light about the SEC's plan for XRP. We also have some new information about Chainlink and Ripple. We're going to get into all of that and more in this video, guys. Let's go ahead and start here. Subject views for the win. Let's play it up.
So I know Ripple actually launched a stablecoin before the Genius Act was signed into law. Obviously, that was back in December. It's called RLUSD. And also earlier this month, Ripple said it will buy stablecoin payments platform Rail for $200 million. So I'm wondering, did the Genius Act have any role in your decision to create a stablecoin? Obviously, you knew that it was on the horizon. It was on the legislative agenda. Were you optimistic we'll see stablecoin legislation here in the U.S.?
So Ripple is enterprise facing. Our customers are enterprises, banks, financial institutions. So we follow our customer needs and what they want. And what we're hearing from customers is they wanted the alternative of stablecoins in terms of payments, even before the legislation took form. We issue our stablecoin from a state chartered trust out of New York, held to very high standards. Those standards, I think, are the equivalents of what we're seeing in the Genius Act. So I think with or without the Genius Act, we would have leaned into stablecoins. But I think what we've talked about, this administration promised to make the U.S. the crypto capital of the world, and the Genius Act is the first major step to make that happen. And we think about it as a crypto bill, but put it in perspective. This is the first major piece of financial legislation that this country has seen in 15 years. The last one was the Dodd-Frank bill, which was completely reactive to a traditional finance crisis. This is a major piece of financial legislation that is proactive, that, as Miles said, is encouraging innovation and doing it in a way that's building trust and integrity. It's really a seminal moment, I think, in the way Congress and policymakers think about technology, innovation, and consumer protection.
I mean, I agree with a lot of what he's saying here. I also want to see more being done. Yes, we are moving forward with regulation and we're sitting here and we're shouting we want to be the best in the world, but what else are we going to do outside of the basics, right? Passing regulation is like the basic thing we need to do to move forward in the new financial system. A lot of other countries are far ahead of us in that. So how are we going to stand out from the rest of the world? Is it just passing regulation, or is there something else? Is there something more? I want more. I don't know about you, but I need to see more. I want to see Congress getting involved, actually taking taxpayer money and investing it in American infrastructure, right? Whether that's 0.25% or 0.5%, whatever it is that they want to figure out or do, let's start investing in American infrastructure, blockchain companies, put it into Chainlink, put it into XLM, put it into XRP, put it into ADA, but let's do something more than just say that we're the best. We need to do more. Here is Stuart Alderoty. Again, XRP is not a security. We gotta beat the horn, I guess. Let's play this.
We need clarity. Lowercase c should not be controversial, right? And a lot of what we are trying to get back to is a faithful application of the law, because under the prior administration, they stretched the law to the breaking point where these issues were being left to be litigated in the courts and have various judges throughout the country make determinations.
And you know this firsthand.
And we know firsthand. We spent $150 million defending ourselves against the SEC's overreach. We won that case with some very foundational findings, like the digital asset itself.
Really quickly, it was the first Trump administration that actually initiated the lawsuit to sue Ripple, Brad, and Chris, right? That happened at the very end of the last Trump administration. Then Biden administration came in and made everything way worse by suing everybody and not allowing crypto to thrive, or not even giving clarity on what banks can and can't do. So we've had back-to-back administrations of absolute failures in the crypto space. Now we're trying to make up for some of that, which the Trump administration has done a great job in the crypto respect. I still would like to see more. I mean, maybe I'm off on my own island here asking for more, but I think a lot of you at home, especially that watch this channel in the United States, deserve to have the greatest companies and digital assets and innovation in the entire world. But it's one thing to say it, but we have to back those companies up. We have to give them funding or whatever else it is they need to be successful on the world stage. If we want other countries using our technology, we can't just say, you're going to use our technology. We need to show them the benefits, the interconnectivity of it all, and why it makes sense, the interoperability of it.
Is not a security, which is a foundational principle of what the Senate has proposed. But I think as I think about the Clarity Act or the Senate proposal, which eventually will be merged together, we need to create certainty for the innovators. We need to create certainty for the market, but we also need protection from regulatory overreach. Right now, we've got Paul Atkins, we'll soon have a new chair maybe, at the CFTC that are leaning into the industry, but that could change on a dime. So these laws are there to protect the industry, protect the markets, protect the consumers, but also protect us from regulatory overreach. I think that we have to be careful that we don't overcomplicate things. It's very, very complicated industry. I don't know as much about the technology or the regulation as others on this panel do, but what I do know is what it means to stand up in front of very bad at this stage. What we need is clarity. We need simple, principled laws, which will then translate into rulemaking and regulation.
Okay, let's keep it going. So here is the new information. Breaking SEC filing reveals plans for a defiance leveraged long plus income XRP ETF under the Title Trust 2. What does this mean? Let's go ahead and see what the heck's going on here. The document is an SEC Form N1A post-effective amendment filed by Title Trust 2 on August 19, 2025. It proposes changes to their registration statement under the both Securities Act of 1933 and the Investment Company Act of 1940. Specifically, the amendment number 405 indicates addition to the two ETF series, Defiance Leveraged Long plus Income XRP ETF, and then there's a sole one. The filing states that these changes will be effective 75 days after the filing. Why is this important for Ripple and XRP? The filing explicitly proposes an ETF, electronically traded fund, that is designed to provide leverage exposure to XRP, the cryptocurrency developed by Ripple Labs. Yes and no, right? ETFs are investment vehicles traded on stock exchanges, making it easy for institutional and retail investors to gain exposure to digital assets like XRP without needing to buy directly and hold them. If approved by the SEC, it would mark a significant step into the mainstream financial recognition of XRP, putting it alongside assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum, which already have these products. ETFs typically attract institutional investors, pension funds, and more conservative capital, offering greater liquidity and practical access for large-scale investments. This could increase trading volumes and facilitate broader use of adoption of XRP. The SEC-sanctioned ETF, an SEC-sanctioned ETF for XRP signals a level of regulatory clarity after years of legal uncertainty. So we'll have to see how all of this unfolds. It does look like it could be bullish, but of course the SEC needs to approve this, and we'll see how that goes. Now, Bill Morgan did post this. I believe they were replying to somebody who's just saying Link is in a better position than XRP to benefit from the coming wave of institutional blockchain. Bill Morgan says, but yes, Link is being utilized for what is intended, which is not liquidity, right? So Link is helping connect the legacy systems. Chainlink is a vital piece, the blockchain infrastructure through oracles and updating data across different blockchains. Very, very vital, important. But it's not a settlement. It's not a liquidity token, right? You're not using it for payments and these types of things. So I did want to put this into Perplexity, of course, and get additional information because I know that's what you want and what you're here for. It says the significance for Ripple and XRP: by adopting Chainlink standard for secure real-time data feeds, Ripple can enable applications on its network or connected its stablecoin RLUSD, as mentioned, to access trusted price data and other market information, right? Trusted price data and other market information. This is what Chainlink does. This enhances the reliability and security of DeFi projects built on Ripple's technology, bolstering use cases far beyond simple payments. Boosts institutional and developer confidence. Integrating Chainlink's Oracle means Ripple is adhering to accepted standards for data verification in DeFi. Institutions, developers, and regulators see this as the best practice, making Ripple stablecoin and related products more appealing to enterprise and fintech partners. It does expand XRP's ecosystems and utility. Chainlink's integration isn't directly about liquidity, it's about data infrastructure. Ripple focus here is their focus here is broadening the types of financial products, whether it's derivatives, stablecoins, lending platforms, etc., and can run on or interact with the XRP ledger by leveraging trusted real-world data. This increases the utility and the demand as a bridge asset in bigger, more complex markets. And then, of course, it supports long-term adoption. I thought this was a pretty interesting video here from Subject Views here. If you guys want to see and follow Subject Views, this is his account. I've been following him for years, posts a lot of really good information, a very hard worker out here in the crypto space. Real-world asset tokenization is unavoidable. I thought this was a great video to end the video on because we know where this is heading. You're starting to see more and more people talking about this on mainstream news like CNBC and Bloomberg. It's only a matter of time before everybody else is like, oh my God, crypto is here to stay, right? All the people who doubted the technology, who didn't understand the technology, it's understandable, right? It's complex. You hear about the scams. You don't want to touch it. You don't think it's, the bankers are telling you that they're not going to adopt this, right? Lo and behold, that's exactly exactly what's going to happen, right? Everyone is adopting this technology right now, and everyone is fighting over infrastructure. Let's play this.
SEC member Hester Peirce was on our show just last week. She said the market is going to sort out the winners when it comes to this technology. How do you make sure that Securitize is one of the winners here?
Well, look, we have been doing this longer than anybody because we started the company in the kind of first wave of tokenization in late 2017. And we are the one that has first the most comprehensive set of capabilities and licenses to be able to tackle the tokenization problems, which are very complex. And second, we are the only one also that has like institutional adoption. Our customers are the largest asset managers in the world, like, BlackRock and Apollo and Hamilton Lane, KKR, etc. And that gives us a competitive advantage that now that there's further regulatory clarity will, probably ensure that we continue leading the industry as we've been doing it for the last few years.
I want to talk a little bit about the retail side of this technology. You probably guess I'm going to ask about Robinhood because the company's been pushing for broader adoption of tokenization. Earlier this year, Robinhood announced that some of its European-based customers could start trading tokens that represent shares of U.S. equities. Kraken and Coinbase are also talking about using this tech. How do you view their efforts specifically?
I think tokenization of public equities is a very interesting problem, especially when it comes to like broaden the distribution, the access for international markets. I think that these early projects that have been announced, and some of them already existing, they're a bit misleading because they don't really tokenize the equity. They're just, derivatives or wrappers that give you kind of like price access, but not the real assets. So I think that we're in the very, very early days of, deciding how the tokenization of public equities is going to happen. But I'm very excited about it. And we've been also participating in the space. And
he's saying that we're in the very early days of trying to figure out how all this is going to work, right? So when a lot of people say, we're heading to utility prices over the next few months, you start to say like, hey, wait a second, how are we going to get to utility prices over the next 4 months when the people who are actively tokenizing the stock market say it's just beginning, right? You can't go from 0 to 100 in the crypto space in 3 or 4 months. Just not going to happen, right? This is something that is rolled out through years of time. You still need the Clarity Act regulation. What is what? Is this a security? Is it a commodity? Who is going to regulate it, right? This is all something that we're still figuring it out, right? It hasn't even been passed by houses, hasn't even been signed into law. So when you're talking about tokenizing the stock market here in the United States, we're still a long way off, in my personal opinion. But you let me know down in the comments where you think we are. 0 to 100%. Where are we right now? We're at 50%, which is halfway there. Are we at 25%, which, tell me.
I'm very bullish about the potential.
Should those companies be allowed to release or offer these so-called wrappers?
Why not, bro?
Of course, if they do it in a legal way, there's nothing wrong with it, right? So I think that there's obviously some people that are playing regulatory arbitrage to create these wrappers in offshore jurisdictions to bypass US regulations. I don't think those should be allowed. Regulations and disclosures, there is nothing wrong about it. Whether the existing wrappers, all of them do that or not, that's a different question. But I think that people deserve to understand exactly what is that they're buying, to make sure they know that they're not actually buying the real stock, that they're not going to get access to dividends, so they're not going to get voting rights and things like that when they're buying a wrapper, as opposed to when they buy the native tokenized, equity from a company.
All right. Where do you think this is all heading, guys? What percentage do you think we're at as far as tokenizing all of these markets? Let me know in the comments. I hope you have a blessed day. I hope this was super helpful. Have a good week. Peace.
Nothing in this video should be taken as financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. Please seek financial advice if you need it. Let's get back to the video.